Okay, so episode 11 of Final Space Season 3. So, yeah, again, obviously, spoilers and whatnot's about. So, this episode basically sees in the opening the death of Bolo. Yeah, I didn't think they were going to kill him off so quickly. But yeah, the Lord Commander just decapitates him there and then. It just quite frankly happens. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would have been a better cliffhanger just for the end of the previous episode, just to show the kind of hopelessness of everything. But I guess the hopelessness was already pretty, hammered hard in the previous episode. But yeah, in this episode, things are even more hopeless. Since they've lost the Kevinet, they don't have Bolo anymore, and the Lord Commander is also a Titan. So yeah, they're pretty fucked. A lot in this episode. So this episode has various things going on. So we have it is brief in the episode, but we do have a little bit of a semi fallout between Avocado and Quinn, though it doesn't last particularly long. But Avocado basically blames Quinn for having them all staying final space. And Quinn does rightly point out it was all their choice, but something that is revealed in this episode as well is that not just Gary, but everyone who isn't Quinn is getting poisoned by Final Space. Yep, everyone is getting poisoned. Well, I guess with the exception of Ash, but basically everyone else is getting poisoned by Final Space and is dying slowly, just like Quinn was. And that just makes me think, maybe they should have got a few more them, plot conveniences that Quinn got. A few more of them would have done quite nicely, actually. But hey, there's something else that does happen in this episode, and it sort of tail ends the end of the episode, and also is at the beginning, where Invictus is pissed off at the Lord Commander and gets 4 Titans. It's either 3 or 4 Titans to basically kill the Lord Commander, and surprise, surprise, at the end of the episode, the Lord Commander is showing to kill all of them. Yeah. So it does show that the Lord Commander, as a Titan, is a pretty credible threat. He was a threat beforehand, but now we've basically seen what he can do in his regular form, and since he's a Titan now with all these extra powers and abilities, then yeah, he's pretty much, the only one who could really, I guess, be a match for Invictus other than Mooncake, who again kind of it gets sidelined again in this episode. I don't know. I've got a feeling that the final battle will not be them versus Invictus. I think the Lord Commander is probably going to kill Invictus. I've got a feeling. That it will be, the Lord Commander will be probably the final, boss, I guess, in this. But anyway, the bulk of this episode is basically the Lord Commander sings a load of the zombified Garys to basically kill everyone on the Galaxy 2. And yeah, this has some pretty good effective sequences in this. For example, there's a sequence which I've screenshotted here where Gary and Little Cato are basically going down a corridor, and basically they're shooting at the Garys, and the animation basically he flashes when that. It's hard to explain, but the animation basically flashes as the blast hits each of the Garys. Oh, that wasn't too difficult to explain. Which, to be honest, is pretty visually good. I have a feeling, though, this episode could have been a lot better if, I guess, they'd upped the creep factor a little bit more. Because it kind of has a, kind of base under siege kind of vibe to it. Because the power's out. Hugh was offline, so it could have had that real sort of creep factor. Unfortunately, doesn't kind of have that. Kind of loses it pretty quickly, but still, it is a nice sort of tense situation, I guess. The problem is that they've used, these zombified, I guess, Garys, I think, a little too much in this season, to the point where, I guess their creep factor or anything, or shock factor, is kind of gone away from the fact that they've been used in, I think, nearly every episode of this season. At least in some capacity. But something interesting does happen in this episode. So, Cheryl actually, gets a little bit to do. I know Gary's mother gets something to do. Ooh. But yeah, she is actually the one who talks to Ash, who is still conflicted about what side she is on. I kind of thought that was already resolved in the previous episodes, but I guess not. I guess she still is conflicted about what side to be on, but yeah, Cheryl basically says she had that choice once and she chose the wrong one with Invictus. But, I mean, I don't know why, but there's still a bit of Ash that still thinks maybe Invictus could be right. But come on, he clearly fucking isn't. He is clearly a selfish prick who is clearly just going to use you, but oh well. I guess if that wasn't obvious enough, then I guess. Also, something comes back in this episode, and I shit ye not, the cookie maker is modified to shoot cookies at the Garys. And apparently that is enough to knock them out or something. Yeah, fucking cookies. Cookies. Come on. I thought it was going to be a thing of, what's left of the Garys will go after the cookies or something. But no, it's literally fucking cookies apparently are powerful enough to stop these zombified Garys by just shooting them with them. I don't know whether this was meant to be funny or what. I don't know. Or whether it was trying to, at least address the over-reliance on the cookie joke. I honestly don't know, but God, that was fucking stupid. That was the part of the episode where I literally just thought, for fuck's sake, can this cookie thing, can it die already? Can it just die? Because literally the cookie jokes and whatever the fuck you're doing with cookie, it's not funny. And it's not entertaining. I don't know, I guess it's getting to the point where it's almost like anti-humor by this point, I guess. But seriously, I'm getting really sick of that cookie gag. If it even was meant to be a joke in this episode, to be honest, the amount of them they do, I really can't tell anymore. But yeah, basically they managed to, kill all the zombified Garys. But with the last one still being, physically, I guess, intact, somehow Ash is able to push Invictus out of the Gary, the zombified Gary, and somehow this leaves, the zombified Gary alive, at least for a couple of minutes. Again, I'm not sure how this works, because surely as soon as Ash pushed Invictus out of that zombified Gary, then surely, he should then return to basically being a lifeless corpse, but apparently not. It gives you a couple of minutes of extra life. Who knew? And it's not like this Gary was, dying beforehand and then Invictus took him over. No. This Gary even says, I died. And he doesn't really reveal too much, but he does reveal one thing. Out of all... Since we know that basically in every other timeline, all of the Garys were the one who sacrificed themselves instead of Quinn at the end of season 1. However, unlike what happened with our version of Gary, who, went back to go find Quinn, none of the other versions of Quinn went back to try and get Gary back. Yeah, none of them did. Which I guess is an interesting thing, and it might change, I guess, the dynamic between Quinn and Gary, but it doesn't appear to in this episode. But yeah, that is just something there. It doesn't really give them any more useful information other than that. And also in this episode, we find out as well that all of the other Earths that all of the zombified Garys are from were also brought into final space, and there's a reason for it, because all of them have an incubating Titan at the centre of all of them, which is what Invictus is doing to basically build an army. Which had me thinking for a second, and I don't know whether this is actually going to happen or not, but doesn't that mean that surely, at least on one of these other Earths, that the Kevin Neck should still be there? I mean, if the Kevin Net was destroyed on our version of Gary's Earth, then surely there should be a Kevin Net on one of the other ones, maybe? Don't know, just saying, but the episode never brings it up or addresses it. So maybe this is something they're saving for later, or it's just something that isn't going to come up at all, I guess. But yeah, that was just something I thought when I saw the other Earths. Other than that, though, this episode is basically just to show, how bleak things are, and everyone kind of changes their tune again, so they all decide that they're going to try and find the portal back through to, their universe from final space. And okay, I mean, now they're not even going to try and fight the Titans, which I guess, is fair, because they do kind of have lost everything. I mean, the only ones who could possibly fight the Titans are Mooncake and Ash now, so yeah. But still, though, this episode is basically a long sort of, oh, look how shit everything has gotten kind of episode. It's not a bad episode, by all means. In fact, I did quite like the section when they were actually, hunting down and killing all the Garys. But I will say, though, that this is basically, get shit together ready for the next 2 episodes, which will be, the finale kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see where they go in that from here on this, since, they're essentially fucked. In terms of Bolo's death, to be honest, his death was kind of a bit of a nothing just at the start of the episode. I would have thought Bolo would have died in a more meaningful way than just instantly being killed by the Lord Commander. It kind of just feels like, oh, well, that just happened. It was a bit crap, to be honest. It didn't have as much... Didn't really have much of a shock value. I mean, I guess I cared a bit more about Bolo's death than the other deaths we've had this season, because at least Bolo was more of a character and we actually knew who he was, but yeah, other than that, no, not really much. I mean, I was expecting him to die maybe in episode 12 or the finale, but here, I don't know, because his death kind of feels like a bit of a nothingness. But anyway, that's kind of it for my thoughts for episode 11. Let me know what you think below, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.